Welcome to Changing Higher Ed, a podcast dedicated to helping higher education leaders improve their institutions. With your host, Dr. Drumm McNaughton, CEO of The Change Leader, a consultancy that helps higher ed leaders holistically transform their institutions. Learn more at thechangeleader.com. This episode of Changing Higher Ed is sponsored by Perdea Education, a national leader in online student recruitment and enrollment services, providing institutions enrolled students risk-free on a performance-based model with no long-term contract. If your online programs could benefit from incremental online student enrollments, visit PerdeaEducation.com. That's P-E-R-D-I-A education.com. And now, here's your host, Drumm McNaughton.
Thank you, David. Our guest today is Dr. Tony Wutoh, provost of Howard University. Dr. Wutoh is a true scientist. He has a PhD in pharmacy administration from the University of Maryland, Baltimore School of Pharmacy, and 2 bachelor's degrees, one in biochemistry from the University of Maryland, Baltimore County, and one in pharmacy from the University of Maryland, Baltimore School of Pharmacy. So in Dr. Wutoh, we have a scientist who's applying education science at Howard University, and what a job he's doing. Just recently, Howard announced a partnership with Amazon to do data management credentials, and last year announced the Women's Center. He joins us today to talk about these new initiatives and what's next for Howard. Tony, welcome to the program.
Oh, thank you. Thank you for having me.
Looking forward to this. You guys at Howard have been doing some incredible things with your new initiatives and innovation, partnerships with industries such as Amazon, a couple of different divisions, Google. Let's talk about that today, because I think this is something that your fellow presidents and provosts are really going to enjoy hearing about. So let's set the table a little bit. You just signed an agreement with Amazon Web Services to establish a new center there at Howard.
Yes, we're working with Amazon Web Services around a number of areas focused with our computer science program. But we're also in the process of creating a Center for Applied Data Science and Analytics. And Amazon Web Services was kind enough to be willing to help us in looking at some of the things that we're intending to do in data science and artificial intelligence and cloud computing. And so they're going to be working with us in terms of curriculum, in terms of making sure our students have access to the most recent technology. We'll be collaborating with them in terms of internship and experiential opportunities for our students as well. So we're very excited to expand upon partnerships that we're developing with Amazon in several of their areas.
Well, this sounds like a fabulous partnership. How did this come about?
Well, it really started a couple of years ago when Amazon was having a discussion about creating a second headquarters, and when it became clear that they would be in the Washington metropolitan area, we, as well as other academic institutions in the DC area, were interested in partnering with them in terms of looking at workforce needs and in terms of looking at areas of our curriculum and programs that we were developing. And we wanted to make sure that we were providing our students with the best educational experience, and that we were also establishing partnerships and collaborations with industry leaders in a number of fields. And so it really was fortunate that as we were starting to look internally at our academic programs and they were creating a second headquarters here, wanting to further the activities that we were engaged in with technology, IT, as well as computer science, artificial intelligence. All of these were areas that we thought would be important for the university, and partnering with AWS was really a great opportunity for us and for our students.
So let me just ask, so you looked up on Google and you saw the right person's name? Is that how it came about?
No, as is often the case, relationships and developing partnerships and using existing relationships to help make connections. We had already started developing a relationship with Amazon Studios that has gone on to lead to our Howard Entertainment program. And so because we had a relationship we were developing with Amazon Studios, we were fortunate to be able to be connected with some of the folks in some of their other units, and that has led to us having further conversations and building relationships, and using those relationships to help us think about intentionally how do we create programs that create the best opportunity and the best value for our students. So it's all, as is often the case, relationship based.
That's really neat. And so your Howard Entertainment ended up leading to your agreement with Amazon Web Services. It's all about relationships, isn't it?
Yes, exactly. It helped open the door and helped to connect us with folks who we could have those conversations with to help to develop programs in more than one area.
So you're establishing your Center for Applied Data Science and Analytics. What all will students get from this?
That's a great question. We have a number of faculty who are already involved in data science and data analytics, but they're really housed in several different schools and several different programs across the university. And so we have faculty in our information systems program, which is in the School of Business. We also have faculty in computer science, which is in our College of Engineering and Architecture. And we have faculty in mathematics and statistics, which is in our College of Arts and Sciences. But we also have faculty doing database analysis and our health professional programs in the school, in the College of Medicine, in our College of Pharmacy. And so we thought it would be a great idea to really create a mechanism for faculty with this expertise, but housed in different schools, to create a mechanism for them to be more interdisciplinary, to partner more in terms of research ideas. And we also did not yet have a degree program in data science or data analytics. And so the idea behind creating a center was to give us an entity where faculty from the various schools and colleges who are involved in this data science and data analytics work would be able to collaborate more easily together. And we could also convene them to help thinking about creating an interdisciplinary degree program focused around data science and data analytics. So that really is going to be the intent of the center, serving as a central gathering point, if you will, for faculty engaged in research, engaged in teaching, and working collaboratively to create a degree program in applied data science that would be of significant value to our students and to corporate partners as well.
This reminds me a lot of what Dr. Judy Kellstrom did at UC Davis. She was the founder and really built their biotech program there, which, the Bay Area, Sacramento is a mega metropolis for biotech. And it was because everything is getting so specialized, and that's what you're talking about right now. You have to bring in multiple specialists to work on a particular program. And that's what it sounds like your center is you've got all these cross-disciplinary avenues for people to work and solve big problems.
Exactly. And we think using the center as a sort of a central meeting point, or as a venue where faculty or graduate students, where colleagues who have interest and expertise would really be able to think about how do we solve the big problems in a society. And so looking not just at data science from a technical perspective, but how do we use this tool to solve issues and look at healthcare disparities, to look at economic disparities, to look at criminal justice reform in a way framed around looking at data and using data to help us answer questions, to help provide the mechanism and the format to really address these big societal issues. And that's what we want to use, answer these broader societal questions, which is squarely within the mission of the university.
Well, that is so much in line with your university mission statement, solving these big societal problems.
Absolutely. And using technology to help us do that is just another step along the continuum in terms of what Howard was built and designed and created to do, to create opportunities for students and individuals who perhaps may not have had those opportunities under typical circumstances, and to look at the problems and the issues that society is facing that we believe our students and our faculty would be uniquely positioned to help do.
Well, I do know that one of your graduates is uniquely positioned to do a lot of big things.
And you must be talking about Vice President Harris.
Of course.
Yeah, we are extremely proud of all that she has accomplished. And, one of the things that always stands out to me about her is how readily she speaks about her experience at Howard and how Howard was helpful in her formative years and helped position her for the success that she's been able to enjoy. But she's a great alum, is a great advocate for the university and our mission, and really has stood out in terms of being a role model for our students to also emulate.
And of course, she just happens to sub in as a graduation speaker from time to time, too.
When she has the opportunity, she's visited campus, was our commencement speaker a few years ago. And, we think it was great foreshadowing. So any of our graduates and alum, if they want to pave their way to the White House, you need to serve as a commencement speaker here at the university first.
Yeah, and also graduate from there as well. Of course, that doesn't
Exactly.
hurt, does it?
Doesn't hurt.
Yeah. Well, we have something besides the podcast in common, because she also spoke at my alma mater for graduation this year, the boat school, or Canoe U, as we call it, the Naval Academy.
Naval Academy. No. Excellent.
But getting back to your program with AWS, this will be the first time you've been able to offer a Master of Science and Data Science degree, isn't it?
Yes, it's a brand new program. We actually are in the process of standing up the program. We have an interdisciplinary committee of faculty that have developed a draft curriculum, and we're reviewing the curriculum. We're hoping, if we can move along the process expeditiously, that we'll be able to admit our first students in fall 2022. But there's obviously a lot of work to do between now and then. And we're also going to be in the process of hiring additional faculty, because we want to make sure that we have as much expertise as we will need to really create a state-of-the-art program, take advantage of some of the other programs that are already existing on campus, and provide the strongest experience for our students.
Well, you heard it here first, folks. Howard's going to be hiring people.
In data science specifically.
Data science specifically. Very good. So as part of developing the program, you just mentioned you've got a faculty committee who's building the curriculum. I'm going to assume that AWS is involved with this as well.
Yeah, so what we wanted to do, because the curriculum really is owned by the faculty, so we've asked the faculty to create a curriculum that is contemporary and that would provide innovative experiences to our students. And we're going to be working with AWS to help us make sure we're creating courses that are going to be relevant, and that we're aligning the content of the courses with really what is taking place in the industry today. So the courses will be designed by faculty, but we're going to have insight from some of the leading industry experts in terms of making sure that we're providing an experience that is contemporary and that is going to help our students meet the needs of the workforce.
Well, this sounds fabulous. And you've just explained that because it is faculty driven, there shouldn't be any shared governance issues.
No, yeah, the curriculum belongs to the faculty. We're pretty clear on that.
Hmm. How will you ensure that the curriculum stays updated? I mean, technology changes faster than any of us can even think sometimes.
No, that's a great point. And one of the things that we have tried to do over the last several years, and we're going to intend to do with this program as well, that there's a significant experiential component where our students will be working with industry partners, will have experiences in terms of internships and other similar experiences with a variety of partners. And we've partnerships that we've created with other programs like Howard West, our collaboration with Google, Howard Entertainment. We had discussed already our partnership with Amazon Studios. What we were able to do with those collaborations was to give students an opportunity to take courses. In the case of Howard West, we had a group of students who actually moved to the West Coast for a semester. In one iteration, they were there for an entire year. We sent a group of faculty with them to teach courses, and the students were able to benefit from having Google engineers and computer scientists serve as co-coordinators for the courses, and they participated on project teams. But the additional benefit of sending our faculty with them was that the faculty were able to also interact and work with the Google staff, were able to see real world how the theoretical concepts they were teaching were being applied in the industry. And that's helped us in many cases modernize our courses and modernize the curriculum. And that's sort of the additional benefit that we've seen from those types of experiential programs. Not only are our students benefiting from being in the environment, having the benefit of having our faculty with them, but the faculty are also interacting, participating with colleagues in industry and using that real world experience to modify and modernize our curriculum in areas where we think it's necessary and relevant.
That's fabulous because I know one of the challenges is that trying to keep the curriculum up to date as fast as technology is changing. There's one university that I know that had their faculty teaching the foundational courses and having adjuncts and industry experts like people from Google and Amazon teaching the higher level courses in the master's programs.
No, and that's certainly one way to do it. And we also have adjuncts that teach a variety of courses with us. But you're absolutely right. Technology is moving at such a rapid pace that you really have to be creative and think about ways to make sure that your students are getting the most up-to-date and modern experience. And it's not just isolated to IT. We see the same thing in healthcare and medicine and pharmacy and many of the other courses that we provide to students, that the challenge to stay modern and to keep up with changes in a discipline, even with the benefit of the internet and and computers, it still really is one of the challenges that we're going to have to continually address, is making sure that the content that our students receive is as up to date as possible.
Yeah, it's so challenging because we all when I was going through school, it was all about textbooks, and we all know that textbooks are 3 to 5 years behind everything. Even journal articles are a year behind in many journals, and as quickly as things change in technology, having those industry experts there to help you design your curriculum, update your curriculum is one of those things that's, I think, going to be critical going forward.
No, and we absolutely appreciate the benefit that we've been able to enjoy in establishing relationships with a number of industry partners. And certainly, while one of the reasons why we created these programs is that we wanted to intentionally target and address building diversity in these industries. But we also saw the additional benefit, obviously, of having access to the leaders in a variety of industries and using that knowledge and using those relationships to help us keep our curriculum as modern as possible.
Thank you. I want to swap over because I'm fascinated by Howard West. I want to swap over and talk a little bit about that. That's your partnership with Google that we just talked a little bit about.
Yes, it's been through a couple of iterations. When we first started the program, it started as a 12-week summer program for about 25 of our students, and as I mentioned, we sent several faculty with them to teach the course. That went so successfully that we really expanded in the second round to a full year program, and we invited a number of other historically Black universities and several Hispanic serving institutions to also send students. So we had students from, I think, 7 or 8 different institutions, faculty from a number of those institutions. Again, the students were getting the benefit of being on Google's campus, having faculty that they knew teach courses, but also having the benefit of having Googlers serve as co-instructors and giving them hints in terms of, what are some of the things they need to know to be competitive for positions in Silicon Valley. And so we were very pleased with the way that the second iteration went. We tinkered again a third time, and in the third round, we made it a semester long program, and then we were hit with COVID and had to make some modifications. But we're really pleased with the way that program had gone. When we expanded it to include other institutions, we changed the name from Howard West to Tech Exchange to be more inclusive of the other programs. But we're looking forward to the next iteration and continuing to see how not only how our students benefit. One of the things that we learned and was sort of an additional benefit. I was having a conversation with colleagues at Google, and they had surveyed our students and wanted to see how their experience was, but they also surveyed the Googlers who were working with them and participating with them. And one of the things that came out as a result of that was how much they benefited from having our students there on their campus. For many of them, it was their first experience working with students from HBCUs, having a diverse group of kids on their campus. And they just reported how much it impacted their perceptions and how much it impacted their workforce, that it was an additional benefit we actually didn't plan for, but will help us in terms of this broader question of addressing diversity in the IT industry.
Yeah, well, it's like that old Indian saying, how do you eat an elephant? One bite at a
One bite at
time.
a time.
And so good for you. I've just got one more question before we move on to you talking about your Women's Leadership Center.
Mhm.
How do you go about if you were going to give advice to fellow provosts and presidents, how do you go about developing the kind of relationship that's necessary to build these programs?
Well, I think it really has to be framed first around the mission of the institution. For us, we like to say that Howard's mission is framed around social justice. And so everything that we do, whether it is, students pursuing medicine or engineering or in our law school, there's always that undercurrent of social justice that we want our students to take hold of, and we want that to be a part of their experience, but we also want them to make that a part of their lives and their careers. So for other institutions, to having a good sense of your institutional mission, staying true to that mission as you look to partner with other organizations, with other academic institutions, certainly with industry partners, it makes it easier to find that match when you have institutions that have similar goals and responsibilities that mesh with the mission of your institution. One of the things that we've certainly learned from COVID is the need to be flexible. There was so much uncertainty and so many things changing on a week to week, if not a month to month or a daily basis. It really forced us to have to be flexible. We had plans, for example, for our students to be in Silicon Valley for the Tech Exchange program or in LA for Howard Entertainment. And when universities moved entirely online and a lot of companies moved their workforce to working from home, we had to quickly change and be flexible in terms of making sure that we were also meeting the needs of our partners, addressing the needs of our students, and trying to be as flexible as possible to make sure we could also meet the academic mission of the institution. And the other thing I would say is that partnership and collaboration is going to be key. There are very few institutions that are going to be able to go it on their own, and that we have a certain mindset, and we're going to do this independently. You really have to be willing to partner with other institutions, whether that be industry partners, whether that be other academic institutions, and again, framed around the mission of your university, and finding individuals, partners, other corporations that share a similar mission really helps to move and facilitate those processes.
And then it's a matter of just picking up the phone.
Sometimes it goes back to that simple thing of just picking up the phone, making a call, and establishing a relationship, or furthering a relationship that may
Yeah.
have already have been initiated.
Mm-hmm. So, Tony, let's talk a little bit about the Women's Leadership Center. I was fascinated when we talked last week, and you told me about that.
Absolutely. We've just established a women's leadership center based in our College of Arts and Sciences, and we were fortunate to have one of our trustees, Jim Murrin, and his wife made a significant contribution to help us formally establish that center. But one of the things I had mentioned in our conversation before is that Howard has long been involved in women's leadership issues, and we have a number of outstanding faculty, particularly our female faculty, who are committed to furthering leadership development among women, recognizing it, acknowledging it, making sure that we do all that we can to foster leadership. And Professor Dewuni, who is our outstanding faculty member in the Department of Political Science, serves as the director for that center, and she has been doing a number of things over the last several years on campus to help us further that work. And certainly the establishment of a formal center is going to help us really accelerate and expedite that issue.
What are some of the things that they're doing as part of the center?
Well, Dr. Dewuni, for example, has had an annual International Women's Leadership meeting. We've had a number of outstanding women leaders from around the world who have participated in that, who've given a lecture to our students and faculty. The former First Lady of Ghana, a number of women in leadership, both nationally and internationally. And we're going to use that to help springboard into a number of other programs and activities that we're planning over the next year.
That sounds really excellent. We'll have to come back and talk more about that another time. When is the next set of meetings that the center is going to have?
Depending on COVID,
of course.
A number of programs are being planned for the fall semester. And so I'll certainly keep you updated regarding invited lectures and other programs that are going to be taking place.
That'd be great. And perhaps we can have the good doctor on the show at some point in time to talk about the initiatives that are going on.
No, absolutely. She would be honored.
So we're coming up to the end of our time. And I mean, this has just gone by so quickly. I know you've got the CAR STEM Scholars Program and other things. We'll just have to touch on that another time.
No, would love to. And I'll just put in the ad for our CAR STEM Scholars Program. That's a program we started 5 years ago, whereby we identified really bright students who would commit to pursuing PhDs in a STEM field. This year, this May, we just graduated the first cohort of scholars, and they're going on to graduate school at University of Pennsylvania, Johns Hopkins, Stanford, Georgia Tech. A number are staying here at Howard. And so they have done exceptionally well as undergrads. They're going to do well as graduate students, and we foresee them being leaders in various STEM fields as they continue to progress through their careers. But when you find young people who are willing to commit to pursuing a PhD as a freshman, it tells you something about their level of commitment and their interest in making an impact in those areas.
Absolutely. And such a shout out to Bruce and Marcia Karsh for funding this program.
Absolutely. They've been really gracious in helping us underwrite this program.
This is great. So 3 takeaways for university presidents and provosts.
And again, I would say to be flexible, that I think this period is going to force us to be prepared to make decisions and then to change those decisions and to modify those decisions. I think flexibility is going to be key. I'll also put the plug in for historically Black universities and Hispanic serving institutions that educate a large proportion of underrepresented students, many of whom are very talented, are gifted, and hopefully as we develop more and more partnerships and collaborations, we want to make sure that our students have the opportunity to pursue their academic dreams in graduate and professional schools all over the country as well. And I think we're going to see a lot of things changing in education. We saw a lot when institutions had to move quickly to online education secondary to COVID. I think a lot of institutions have learned from that. We're going to see more online programs. I think we're also going to see a lot of hybrid programs where students will have the opportunity to learn face-to-face and similar opportunity to continue to learn online. And we look forward to partnering with as many institutions as possible, again, to make sure we're creating as many opportunities for our students as we can. Also to share the things that we have learned through this period and to learn from our brother and sister institutions how we can do things more effectively here to continue to fulfill the mission of the university.
That's great. Well, thank you for those. So what's next for you, Tony or Howard?
Well, Howard, we're really doing well in terms of enrollment. Enrollment across the country went down a bit during COVID. We actually saw a 15% increase in enrollment over the last year, and we're looking at another increase in enrollment this year. So the university is positioned well. We're creating a number of new, exciting academic programs. And we think we're going to be doing a number of things in terms of data science. We're creating new opportunities in humanities and arts as well. We have a new dean for our reestablished College of Fine Arts, Dean Felicia Rashad, and she's going to be doing fantastic things. And so we're really looking to expand the university's footprint in a number of areas and think we're going to be positioned well to do that.
I would certainly say so, especially under your leadership and your guidance. So,
no, thank you.
Tony, want to thank you so much for being on the show. This is wonderful. It's been a great conversation to talk about innovation and what universities can be doing to keep everything more relevant and more meaningful for their students. So thank you very much.
Oh, thank you. It's certainly been an honor and a pleasure for me.
Likewise, sir. Thanks for listening this week, and a special thank you to this week's special guest, Dr. Tony Wutoh, Provost of Howard University, and for sharing with us how Howard is transforming higher education and the curriculum through its partnership with Amazon Web Services, Google, and Amazon Entertainment. I also want to give a special shout out to our sponsor, Perdea Education. Visit PerdeaEducation.com to learn how they can help grow your online student enrollment through a performance-based model with no risk or long-term contracts for your institution. Our next guest, we welcome back Mike Goldstein, Managing Director of the Center for Higher Education Transformation at Triton Partners. Mike, as you know, is a frequent guest on the show, and he'll be joining us to discuss the transformation higher ed is going through. As you know, COVID has been a catalyst for many things going on, and as Gordon Gee once said, It's accelerating needed changes in higher ed by 10 years or more. Well, Mike will be talking with us to talk about those various changes that are going on and bring out his crystal ball.
Changing Higher Ed is a production of The Change Leader, a consultancy committed to transforming higher ed institutions. Find more information about this topic, along with show notes on this episode at changinghighered.com. If you've enjoyed this podcast, please subscribe to the show, and we would also value your honest rating and review. Email any questions, comments, or recommendations for topics or guests to podcast@changinghighered.com. Changing Higher Ed is produced and hosted by Dr. Drumm McNaughton, post-production by David L. White.